What is up, guys, and welcome back. Today's video is specifically for sore quads and calves, so if that is you, you're in the right place. We're gonna start in a low squat. Just make sure the hips are nice and relaxed. It's a lot easier to stretch the quads if your hips are a little bit more open. So rock side to side, do whatever feels good here, and if you have to, go ahead and put your hands on the floor. Speaking of, we are now going to put those hands on the floor so we can go from a nice low squat to a nice forward fold. Again, just opening up the hamstrings a bit. I know I said quads and calves, but it doesn't hurt to open up the full lower body before we target those muscle groups. I decided to hit the quads and the calves the most because I coach a lot of tumbling clients, and if you jump or run a lot, those two muscle groups are going to be the most sore. So let's press on back into a downward dog where we are now going to pedal out the feet. I have socks on. I don't recommend stretching with socks on when you are on the floor because it's easier to slip, so barefoot or a yoga mat is best. That way you can really focus on stretching out the back of the calf and the Achilles tendon. Again, just doing whatever motions feel really good, focusing on breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to do the same thing, but now in a plank position, doing about 5 to 10 pulses on each side. Whatever leg is straight is the calf that we are stretching. And to make it more dynamic, we can just go ahead and pedal out those legs one at a time. Let's go ahead and isolate the stretch. Digging deeper into the calf, go ahead and either hit the downward dog or the plank. Again, whatever feels good in this position is what you should be digging into today. Switching sides, I just pick up my right leg and place it on the back of my left calf. And again, transferring from a plank to a downward dog will allow you to have a little bit more fun in these stretches. Trust me when I say if you're a runner, you will absolutely benefit from these poses. Now let's go ahead and sink on down into a nice child's pose position because who does not love this stretch? It's great for the lower body and the lower back, and of course the shoulders and upper body too. We're just gonna hang out here as a reset though. Let's go ahead and now target the front of the hips, which can also open up the front of the quads. This is called camel pose. If you're not here today, it is okay. You can just hang out with your hands on your lower back and push your hips forward. But if you are here, be sure to squeeze the glutes and the core to protect the lower spine. In this position, I'm breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, and I'm just focusing on bringing that oxygen to the front of my hips, the front of my quads, because that is what I am targeting in this stretch. We are going to reset in another child's pose position because, you guessed it, I love this pose. And now let's go ahead and hit a low lunge. Option to add movement here or just stay in a static-like position, whatever feels best for you. In a low lunge, to get the most out of it, you really want to squeeze the glutes and push the hips forward. I'm now going into a lizard-like position on my forearms, but on my right leg, I'm slightly pushing it out to the right. That way I open up the right hip a little bit more. And to deepen the stretch in the back, you can go ahead and go up on your toes and lift the knee off the floor. To really target the quad, let's go ahead and bring that right heel in. I am super sore, so I could not pull my right heel very close, but if you're more mobile than me, you might be able to get your heel all the way to the glute. Again, adding movement can help you deepen the stretch because sometimes the static holds are not very easy. Movement allows you to go a little bit deeper, and yeah, you know the vibes. Holding for a few, and we're now going to come on out, hit a quick half split, but now we're going to go even deeper into that left quad. In that half split position, I now sit on my glute with my heel to the left side of my body. If you are ready for this advanced stretch, you will lay all the way down on your back, but be sure to squeeze your glutes and rotate the hips forward if you really want to dig into the quad. Core engaged, thinking about having a flat back. If you're arched here, again, try to correct that. Rotating the hips forward, almost like a hollow hold position, is how you will do so. If you're not here today, you could absolutely be hanging out with your forearms on the floor, but this felt really good for me, so this is where I am going to be hanging out, just for a few breaths. This is a quick stretch, only about 10 minutes, so if you're in a rush, I hope you find this doable and very helpful. Now I'm going to press my arms into the ground to push back into my forearms, and we are going to go right back into that low lunge that we started in, pressing into that one last time before we transfer into another child's pose as a reset. In just a moment, we're going to repeat the same stretch on the other side. So hang out here until you feel good. And when you do, we're going to go ahead and go into a left low lunge, squeezing the glutes and pushing the hips forward. As you can see here, I am going on the outer part of my left foot, and that is opening up that front hip just a little bit more. If you're ready to deepen the stretch, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and hit your forearms. Slowly going down, but be sure not to arch and be sure to keep those hips pushed forward. I know I sound repetitive, but there's a way to target these muscle groups. And if you have that arch in your back, you're probably just not going to hit them as well. And again, if you are ready to advance that, let's go ahead and straighten out that back leg, pressing your right foot into the floor. Adding some motions or some movement, rocking forward and backwards, up and down, anything to open up the hips. Happy hips will help you open up those quads a little bit more as well. Transferring into that reverse leg hook. I don't even know if that's what that's called, but bringing that right heel as close to the glute as possible. And if you need some help, just do little motions. Again, my quads are so tight. I did not realize until I went to go film this stretch for you guys. And I was like, wow, I should probably tune into these muscles a little bit more. When I spot my clients, I do a lot of squatting, so this makes sense. I hope that you guys are more mobile than me, getting that heel all the way to your glute. Also, you could totally do this stretch up against a wall to really intensify it, but we'll save that for another day. Let's go ahead and push into a quick half split, and then sit on back to your glutes, bringing the right heel to the right side of your glute. From there, again, hopefully you can see better from this side. I'm really trying to round the lower back, really trying to get rid of that arch. As you can see, my core is up, but as soon as I rotate my hips forward, it helps me flatten out the lower spine a little bit more. Feeling the stretch tremendously on my right side because I'm right dominant. That leg is just a little tighter on me. So don't be alarmed if one side is easier to stretch compared to the other. Focus on breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as always, bring the oxygen to the area that you are trying to stretch. That way that muscle group can just expand a little bit more. A few more deep breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth. On that exhale, you'll go ahead and push back up. So we can transfer into that low lunge and push on back to yet another child's pose position. Just a few more minutes here, quick stretch, hopefully effective for you, but hang out in this position. Enjoy the music, enjoy the breath, and enjoy just feeling good. If those other stretches were doable, we are now going to go for the double whammy where you have each of your heels on each of your outer hips, and you are now going into a double quad stretch. Again, if you are not here today, do not go too far. If you feel any sort of pain in your knees or your hips, you have gone too far. Do not hesitate to stay on the forearms and the elbows, focusing on rotating the hips forward. As long as you're doing that, you're fine. Okay, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, if you're a tumbling athlete and a runner, I hope that you are finding this stretch useful because I have so many clients who are always like, oh my gosh, my legs. And I make them foam roll, but it's always the quads and the calves that seem to be the most sore, but it makes sense because those are the muscles that we use the most to jump. We are almost done here. Take a few more deep breaths. On that exhale, go ahead and push on up. And we are going to finish strong in one last child's pose. I'm happy that you guys took some time to yourself today. For me, yoga was kind of like a saving grace a few years ago when I realized, wow, just a few minutes a day, focusing on myself, taking care of my body, it really went a long way for my mental space and so much more. It was easier to train at the gym. It was easier to hit some tricks when I started doing calisthenics. And it honestly just brightened my days a little bit more. One last inhale and one last exhale. Let's breathe in, bringing those arms up. And exhale, giving yourself some gratitude. Thank you guys for showing up today. I hope you really enjoy these videos. And if you did, I hope to see you next week. I'll see you then. Bye.